So of course, you also get rewards while improving your skills. So there's nothing to lose, right? So win-win sa lahat. I'm Denise Ken Gozon, so you can call me Denise, Ken, or Len. So I'm a software engineer specializing in iOS development, native iOS development at Pinasha, Philippines. I read about StackLeague last year from an article by Pop Inquirer. So I'm sure we're familiar with other coding platforms like Code Wars, LeetCode, Project Euler, but this is like the first coding platform that will be like Philippine based. So it grew my interest and tried it out. Napupush akong to learn something outside my expertise. So I enjoyed learning while doing that challenges. I guess my favorite accomplishment is when I was included on the featured programmers. So my friends and relatives saw the post and shared it. So it felt good that they are like proud of me. Okay, so I guess the national recognition um, helped my credentials as well, and I was able to have new connections because of it. So, like some of the top challengers, I was able to connect via the Stack Trek and also on Facebook. So we're friends na doon sa Facebook. So I recommend StackLeague, especially for students and fresh graduates. It will improve your problem solving and coding skills through yung challenges. StackLeague provides learning opportunities through different tech sessions, so you can expand your knowledge. You also get rewards while improving your skills, so there's nothing to lose, right? So win-win sa lahat. So of course.
So, hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our event, and hello to all our on-site and YouTube viewers. So, welcome to our StackLeague Tech Session in partnership with Microsoft and DevCon. So, we have innovating with Java, the latest trends and best practices. So, I am King, and I'll be your host for tonight's event. So, before that, I would like to remind everyone that if you have any questions regarding our session for tonight, please jot down and we will be discussing it during our panel discussion. All right, so now that Stack League is now on its third competitive season, I would like to give you an overview of Stack League, especially if it's your first time to attend any Stack League event. All right. So before we go proceed with the panel discussion po, no? So Stack League, now in its third competitive year, wouldn't be possible, of course, without the support of our partners. And we're very fortunate and grateful to be supported by the top companies in the industry. So we have Packetworks, Microsoft, Colabera, Manulife, Deltec, Coding Chiefs, Recruit Day, Gcash, and Likha IT by Free. And of course, we would also like to thank our media partners who keeps on helping us in terms of reaching our audience and our network. So we have here Elongo Tech Blog, Phil IT Org, Go Philippines, Tech News, Journal Online, TechBeat.ph.com, Backend News. We have Megabytes, Manila Republic, What's Up Filipinas, Business World, Manila Bulletin, Page One, and Digital Reg on the Go. And of course, we'd also like to thank our community partners who keep on helping us in terms of reaching our as many programs as we can in the country. Okay, so moving forward, we have here our Stack League competition highlight. So one of the this pioneering programming league is now gathering thousands of tech talents across the country, and we're testing their coding acuity. And with the promise of nationwide media recognition, lots of prizes, more tech job opportunities, and invitation-only events. And one of the highlights of Stack League is the featured in Stack League Weekly Top 10 is the featured programmer campaign video feature. So apart from this, this is the programmer campaign where all weekly top 10 players will get a video feature on our Stack League website and all different social media platforms. Okay, so Stack League will also be hosting numerous tech sessions and career sessions and exclusive trainings that is all for free all throughout the year. So you can also look forward to our on-site Stack League events. Okay, so more about the tournament. So the tournament is powered by StackTrack's fully automated talent analytics and assessment platform. And currently, here are the programming languages we are using in the league. So we have JavaScript, Java, Python, C Sharp, and PHP. If you're guys wondering how does the game work or how does the league work, so for the ranking system, this is how it works. So once you sign up, you will start at the bottom with 0 points, and all you have to do is solve as many challenges as you can, and you will earn corresponding points. And by the end of the year, uh, okay, by the end of the year, Stack League declares the top ranking players as winners. We also have our level up prizes. So every time that you unlock any level, you will receive prizes or corresponding prizes. So next slide, please. Every time that you unlock one bronze level, you will receive 100 pesos. And once you unlock the silver level, you will receive an additional 100 pesos. And once you unlock the gold level, you will receive an additional 300 pesos for a total of 500 pesos. And now that Stack League has resetted all its scores, pwede nyo na po ulit mag-claim yung mga level up prizes natin. Okay, so aside from this one, we also have our Stack League playoffs now in its third competitive season. And the tournament is featuring all monthly qualifiers. And all they have to do is, the qualified players all have to do is earn points by solving as many challenges as they can during the competition of the Stack League playoffs. And we also have our Stack League Ambassador Program. This is to reward our Stack League participants who go beyond the competition through referral program and blog writing. So you can read the full mechanics at bit.ly/StackLeague23Ambassador. Okay, so a new information for everyone. No? So bago to kahit sa mga natin, mga past natin na players ng Stack League. So now, Stack League is divided into two divisions. So we have Pro League and si Student League. So ano bang difference ng Pro League and si Student League? For the Pro League, it's open to all graduated mga professionals or mga professionals who are currently working. And the weekly top 10 will be receiving 500 cash prize each. For the student league naman, it's open to all students who have no working experience yet or yung mga currently nasa university pa. And the weekly top 10, of course, will be receiving 500 pesos cash prize each then. All right, so you can find, of course, the full mechanics at bit.ly/StackLeague Weekly Top 10. All right, so sa mga mahilig mag-aya ng mga 1v1 or parang PvP, so we have here na sa Stack League the PvP edition. So it's a mode wherein you can, it allows the players to compete with other players. So from silver to level, they can challenge each other and they will be receiving points depending dun sa bet na point, sa bet nila. Kumbaga magbe-bet kayo ng gaano kalaking points yung mapapalanunan ng mananalo sa PvP na yun. So of course, winner takes all. You can find the full mechanics at bit.ly/StackLeague PvP. Okay, so medyo madami yung mechanics na pinakita earlier or sinabi earlier. But you can find all the mechanics we've mentioned earlier. Just visit stackleague.com/blogs. Yeah. Yep. So- But right now, Stack League is ano lang, parang open lang so all Filipinos or inside the country. All right. So that's all for our Stack League, Stack League overview or brief overview about Stack League. But now we would like to call on our venue partners, no, because the event wouldn't be possible without our venue partner, which is Microsoft. And please help me to give an inspiring message or opening message. Please help me welcome from Microsoft, Kyel John David.
Thank you. So if we could just jump into my first slide, please. On the first slide. So I don't want to make this long. So I have been pitching all around this, all over StackLeague's event. Microsoft has been very big when it comes to skilling, and we have been encouraging all developers, all people that are on all walks of life to come in and join us to upskill themselves as we venture into a digital era. So as emerging technologies, as disruptive technologies comes into play, we have to equip ourselves and make sure that we are well prepared on how we are going to solve the world's most complex problems, and of course, be equipped with the right set of tools and skill sets. And that's why showing this to you guys, we have our Microsoft Virtual Training Days, which are 1 to 2 virtual training days that we host online, and all of these are free. So at the last quarter, we are offering the last set of digital examination vouchers that would be available to all of our fundamental courses. So if you want to join, just scan the QR code below and register on our upcoming event soon. So on the next slide, please. And as I mentioned, Microsoft is offering all channels and all channels that would be available to all of the participants out there. We have multiple resources that you guys could check out. We have Microsoft Learn. So what is Microsoft Learn? It's our online platform. It's a multi channel learning platform that we offer that caters audio, visual, and textual informations for all kinds of materials. So whether you want to be a network engineer, if you want to be a database administrator, or if you want to jump into analyst and AI, Microsoft Learn is here for you, and it caters to all skill sets. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, so Channel 9, we have replaced all of our previous practices with Microsoft Learn. So everything is all condensed so that you don't have to look with so many channels out there. So making sure that we have videos, text, and of course, practical activities for you to do. So aside from that, if you want to learn about the new news or the new updates with Microsoft, we have the Microsoft Source newsletter. If you want to check out our developer channel, we are available on YouTube. And for those that are venturing in inclusivity, we have Microsoft Azure Women in AI. And of course, last but not the least, Microsoft Cloud Squad is still available. And for those passionate individuals that want to jump in and join us and be part of that passionate community with regards to technology, please check out our Discord. We'll be having a new batch for this May. So hopefully I get to see you guys soon. So once again, maraming salamat and enjoy the night. Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much, Children, for promoting all of these things. So this is going to be helpful for all of, especially sa mga on-site participant natin and sa mga YouTube viewers natin tonight. All right. So I know that you guys are very much excited na to learn more about Java. So let's not delay this any further. And I would like to introduce to you our panelists for tonight. Okay. So let's give a warm welcome to our first panelist, independent consultant and trainer. Please welcome Charo Nuguid. All right. So for our second panelist, let's welcome Head of Engineering and Infrastructure at UnionDigital Bank, Kyel John David. Lastly, we have our back-end software engineer at Manulife IT Delivery Center Asia Incorporated, Rosa Rioja. And to facilitate our panel discussion, please help me welcome the StackTech's Head of Growth, Haifa Karina Baluyas.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And I would like to thank everyone who are here who really made time to learn from our guest speakers for tonight. No? And of course, we would like to thank our guest panelists tonight. Ayun, galing pa sa Marikina, galing pa sa San Juan lang pala. Marikina sila. So they really made time to share with you their knowledge, their experience. And we really hope that for tonight, you will be able to return home knowing na, okay, tama ba direction ko sa buhay or tama ba ginagawa ko? Those things. Okay, so let's start with our first question. So my first question is that, can you introduce yourself and your experience so far in your career with Java, since Java yung topic natin for tonight. Let's start with Charo.
All right. So, hi, my name is Charo. I have been using Java for 23 years. Yeah. So I've been using it since it was Java 1.2, even before there was an enterprise edition available before. So I've been using it that long. I've used it for a lot of stuff, which is one is enterprise systems with fintech companies and insurance companies. I've used it for mobile apps, specifically under Android. I've used it for IoT, Internet of Things. I've used it for embedded systems. Uh, Pretty much. Wait, is that all? Yeah, IoT, mobile apps, embedded apps for hardware, and yeah, pretty much jack of all trades. I also, aside from development, I also do training. So I've held a lot of seminars over the past more than 2 decades already. And I've also taught somewhat to college students and done Java boot camps. And every now and then I get hired by a parent or two to help tutor their college kids in Java there.
Wow. So if there's anyone I know, it's Charo's very experienced in Java so far in my network. Buti na lang you're here. Thank you so much, Charo, for joining us. Kiel?
Hello guys. I'll try to to get my I speak very loud naman. So hi, my name is Kyel. So I'm working with Union Digital as their head of engineering and their cloud infrastructure. And I've been working with Java for around 9 years now. Although it's half and half. Sometimes I work with Java, sometimes I work with another language. So throughout my career, right, I started off as a software developer, which is mainly focused on delivering back-end capabilities. So using Java. So I'm on the later parts of Java. I started with Java 7 or Java 8. And I was in a position at that time wherein I got exposed to better conventions as we speak. So we had Spring 3 or Spring, wala pang Spring Boot noon. We have Spring Framework, right? And then later on, after a few years, I move on to a different language, such as Node.js, Golang, and etc. But I still keep on learning more about Java kasi it's my quote-unquote first love, eh, di ba? You don't forget about your first love. So as I progress further within my career, I still work with Java. So now with Union Digital, I on a day-to-day basis I don't work with Java that much, but we have existing components or system that's being powered by Java, right? So later on I'll discuss to you guys where are we with Java and how we are using it. So there we go.
Ayun. Thank you so much, Kiel. And finally, Ross.
Hi, hi, I'm Rosa.
Rosa.
Yeah, I'm Rosa, and I am a backend software engineer in Manulife IT Delivery Center. So I've been working with Java for about 6 or 7 years now. I used to be C Sharp for a brief time, and then I became a Java dev. I used Java in software development, and for now, I'm in production support. So I still use Java as support.
Got it. So thank you so much, Rosa. And let's thank again our panelists for tonight. So now that you have a background of what they do, if you have questions later on, feel free to type them down or type them down. Type it in your phones or my notes kayo because this will be a dynamic kind of discussion. Every time we finish one question, you have the opportunity to ask your follow-up questions. Okay, so it's quite an intimate room, so it's a small one, so feel free to ask questions. And walang problema, pwede tayo mag-Tagalog. Even our viewers sa YouTube, Tagalog din sila, so they can do that one. Okay, yes. Yes. Sige, can we ask the people from the last two rows especially to move forward para mas malapit, para mas intimate tayo? So, for everyone din na nasa online, you can still ask your questions. We will have our team monitor the questions, and then sa Q&A later, we will be asking your questions too. So, don't worry kahit wala kayo dito sa Microsoft na office. Okay? So, here, hindi naman sila makakaan. Okay, sige. So, for our main question, what's the general trend nowadays in the Java development that you use? That is to say, what's everybody using nowadays, or mga frameworks, patterns, or tools? Ayun. Who wants to start first?
Take a stab at it.
Go.
So for the general trend in Java, like I mentioned before, I started with Spring on its early days, wherein most of the configurations are in XML. Now the general trend with Java specific tech stack is we're now using Spring Boot, wherein you can think of it as a parang framework siya on steroids for Java, wherein it accelerates your development. Let's say if you want to build a REST API, they have a feature set dependencies already that allows you to build your application or REST API within 30 minutes. Now, with regards to how do we deploy and run this, right? Because when you build an application, it's not just about doing that, having Java as your primary language, and Spring Framework, all those jazz, right? You need to also run it into different infrastructure. So this is where containers will come in. So most Java applications now are being run inside a container. So this can be run inside the let's say in your cloud infra or even on-prem. But another thing that we need to consider is there's this thing called serverless architecture, right? And serverless is the next big thing. That's my personal opinion. That's going to be the next big thing wherein you don't need to create containers. You focus on application logic, right? Yep. But I want to stress this out that whatever framework that you are using, right? Whether it's Spring Boot, Quarkus, or whatever deployment mechanism that you use, it's really important that you focus on your foundations, right? Because every framework that you are going to come across is just built around the solid foundation of object-oriented programming, right? And the solid principles. Nothing beats that. So I think maybe chime in.
So yeah, I think a lot of you here right now are students. Could you raise your hand if you're still students?
Students.
Yeah, a lot of you are students. Some of you are probably working. Some of you are obviously working. I'm not going to say who they are, and yeah, but anyway, so the thing with the trends with Java right now, if I'm going to say, well, I'm going to go with whatever Kyel said, no, because it's pretty much the same thing. Uh, for most of the students, for all of the students here, this will probably just go over your heads because what is serverless? What is distributed? What is distributed systems? What are microservices? What's this about cloud technologies and all that? But that's the thing with the trends with Java. If we have to talk about Java trends, what we will be what we will say has nothing to do with Java at all. It's all with whatever else is going to be affected by Java. It's going to be whatever is used with Java. So again, what Kyel has said, they're serverless. Um, at the very foundation of it all, If you're still a student, at the very least, learn what is a virtual machine, how to use a virtual machine, what is a container, how to use Docker. At the very least, you need to know that. Okay, at the very least. Should you learn about what is AWS, what is Azure, what is Google Cloud? No, not yet, not necessarily. Okay. When you start working, they will probably teach you more about that. But if you have the capacity to learn it, because sometimes sometimes Microsoft would have special vouchers or special training in Azure for students. Sometimes Google will also have that. Sometimes AWS will also have those. If you have the capacity, if you have the time, if you have the opportunity given to you to learn that while you're still a student, then please do so. Okay? Because it will help. Because that is exactly where Java in the end is going towards. Okay. And yeah, microservices for the students. This will just again go over your heads. Usually, I would teach monoliths first. All the applications as just one whole system, because without learning that, you wouldn't know how to break it up into jigsaw puzzles, so to speak. You know. For the students, it is important that you know the foundations. Like, it's still the same thing. You know the foundations, you know them inside out. Do you need to know about frameworks? Yes and no. Yes, you need to know what the frameworks are. No, you do not. Do you need to learn a particular framework? Not exactly. Specifically because I came from the point wherein I entered Java and frameworks were non-existent, so we had to create our own. Uh, but yeah, as long as you know, as long as you have your foundations, even without a framework, uh, you can still use it at work. Okay? If you don't know your foundations, it will be much harder to even learn how to use a framework.
Yeah, thank
Frameworks thing, right? Since what pieces, right? We were predominantly a Java school, right? Are there anyone from? Okay, that's a no.
We have a volunteer.
Yeah. Right. So during my time, right, we were heavily focused on setting up the foundations of object-oriented programming, your design patterns, inheritance, polymorphism, those four pillars of object-oriented programming. Now, when it comes to building my thesis during that time, I decided to go towards a framework, right? So I would like to think that I have a good foundation during that time, since when I hop into that framework, I somehow understood how it works internally or at a high level, wherein it did not hamper me building my thesis during crunch time, right? But if I go there, get the plugin or get that framework, if I don't know my foundations, I'll be screwed, because how would this work? How would X and Y work without knowing these foundations? And if something goes wrong, like with all things, it will always go wrong, right? If you know your foundations, it's easy to navigate through, right? Like, let's say one component goes down. If you know your OOP, let's say your inheritance or your polymorphism, you would check, okay, this error came from this because of X and Y, right? So again, it's really boils down to foundation. So I agree with Charo that it's a yes or a no when learning about frameworks. Go use frameworks if you need to, but for the students, right? Use frameworks once you understood your foundations and your basics. Yeah.
I need to add one more thing. Wala. So I need to add one more thing, at least for the students, no, as part of the trends as well. aside from your Java foundations, okay, you at least should know how to do test-driven development. Yeah, TDD. Okay, TDD, how to use TDD, how to use JUnit. Because a lot of the nice thing, Java is very difficult to understand or to learn, really. But the wonderful thing about learning Java is it it helps you learn a lot of other programming techniques that are very helpful with any other language that you learn after that. And one of them is test-driven development. One of them is how to create your tests before you actually do your code first. Okay, and that's actually quite basic. Then, okay, it's also very basic. You learn to do that, and that will actually help you along the way uh, with higher up testing software or testing frameworks.
Yes. Okay, so sa trends ng frameworks and tools, I think same copy paste ko lang sa kanila. Joke lang. But sa industry, with my limited experience, yes, andun yung Spring. If you're going to a company that uses legacy, yeah, you can also study a few legacy like struts, but uh, it's okay then. But yeah, again, for me, it works to know those frameworks because pagdating sa interviews, pag sinabi na marunong ka ba neto, marunong ka ba ng frameworks, and if you say, yes, you know a bit of it, then you're good. That means familiar ka doon and mabibuild yon if you go with that company. But um, for other things like, yes, yung sa basics ng Java, yes, it is very helpful when learning other languages as well. So if ever you go with OOP, it's also recommended to learn a few scripting languages like JavaScript maybe. And it is very helpful to learn those um, trends and frameworks when it comes to if you're going to work for a big project na at least you know what you're working in the project. Yan lang.
Ayan, thank you so much. So, yes, for our audience who will ask questions, please introduce yourself and then your question.
So I am Joey. I used to be speaker at DevCon also some years ago, and I came from a community called Aware IT. Uh, so the question is, so we are the IT capital of the world. It's the Philippines. No other country is the capital of IT. So every one of you, that's a legacy we built 20, 30 years ago. Now, regarding to trends, dapat tayo yung masunod kung ano yung trends. Tayo yung magpapalabas. Ito naman yung gusto naming lumabas sa stream. Now, what I was seeing is that in terms of gaming, we are lagging. So game development, we are totally behind. We are at the very back of game development. So I would want to ask how would Java pair in game development in mobile and other platforms?
Well, until very recently, when Google and Oracle came head to head, and Google lost the case of using Java as part of their Android system. No, Java was actually very well. Java was actually very well used when it was being used for Android apps and with gaming. There was no problem with that one. But going forward, since they're using Kotlin now, they've moved to Kotlin to avoid Oracle's other fees. No? In a sense, I guess, because Kotlin is kind of like Java, but not really. Okay, so we're still there. If ever Java is going to make its mark on mobile gaming or in gaming in general, it will not be on it will not be on the front end. It will be more on the back end. Okay? Uh, it will be more on processing information, not graphics information, but but the logic itself. It will be more on that. No? But again, there are very few systems, or there are very few gaming companies that use Java as that, because there are better languages suited for gaming right now. Um, I mean, even with when it comes to if we're talking about AI, since a lot of gaming companies is also going towards that. Even with that, uh, Java, Java, there are some pundits that have said that Java have may have something to give when in terms of AI, but uh, I do computational neuroscience as a hobby right now and tried to use Java at one point for one of my assignments in class, and it is slow. It is very slow, mostly because of the JVM. And there are, again, better languages to use for AI, for ML, okay? Uh, Nothing to do with gaming, but the only thing I could see Java working properly with is under data analysis and data processing, data mining, and so forth, data lakes. So they're much there, but no, I don't know. There are no gaming companies that I know of that use that that area of technology.
What she said. So, but yeah, kidding aside, right? So depends on how you contextualize gaming. So if you consider, let's say, gaming on a desktop device such as Minecraft, yeah, it's written in Java. But if you're gonna talk about games like, what are the modern games now? I have no idea. Mo- Don't play those. No, like in the desktop games, you have Assassin's Creed, you have CS:GO and Dota 2, right? Yeah, The Last of Us. Those things are not really written in Java. But I'm gonna bet that some of the backend components that powers it is written in Java. Since what Charo has said, right? The strength of Java doesn't really focus on with front end clients. Not even graphics. It's horrendous, right? Its strength is again it's data processing, networking, and data streaming in general. So let's say, for example, you're playing Dota, right? Or some online game that connects to the internet. If you're gonna check your network stream, some of those data or packets that's being sent from your desktop device to to the servers, there's one component that's written in Java, probably your click stream or whatever data they collect. Now for the mobile, excuse me, of course there's Java there, right? But not really, since again Android is written in Java, but there's only small components that powers your games or mobile games with Java, right? So it's not really going to work because just to give you some context or for the students, right, who's probably into Android development or some of the mobile engineers, if you are working on an emulator, most of the time you need 8 gigs to 16 gigabytes of RAM just to power your Android device, just to power your application. Now imagine you're gonna create a binary of it and put it on your device and it's being powered by Java. Ubus na memory ng cellphone mo, right? Like mga devices ngayon, 8 gigabyte lang or ano ba, 12 gigabyte ng mobile device. It's not gonna survive, right? So it's really for the back end. So unless you mention yung gaming about yung sa mga casinos, then that's another story. But,
That's another.
all right.
A lot of the back end in casino games are written in Java. Yes, because it's mostly because of the processing. If anything, Java is really good in processing data as fast as possible. And if you're doing like digital blackjack or digital poker or
Yeah. Oh God.
what?
Students.
No, no, they're warning me because they're all students. No, I don't have to warn them. The reason is because there is a lot of money in legal. Emphasis on the legal. There's a lot of money in legal casino games. All right. I mean, come on. I have a background in mathematics. A lot of my classmates ended up, in their first 5 years of working, they were. This is year 1996. They were getting in like 25, 30, 40,000 pesos a month because they were dealers in casinos. And it needs math. It needs a lot of math. Casino dealers need a lot of math because while it is illegal for players to count cards, the dealers should know how to do that.
When there's math, there's Java.
When there's math, there's Java. So when it comes to the legal gaming, the legal gaming systems now, then yeah, there's there.
Capital responsibility.
Yeah. Pagcor is looking for people.
Nag-vlog. Okay. Rosa.
What they said, because I have no opinion that I've never been in the gaming industry. Pero gaharing ba yung pagko? Joke lang.
Exploring, yung boss niyo, joke lang. Okay, so thank you so much, Joey, for your question. And with that one tonight, just for that first question, actually yung follow-up question ni Joey, we learned something. I learned na, okay, sa gaming pala, Java pala yung ginagamit nila doon, and that's about how they describe the front end, yung strength ng Java. It's really good. And for everyone, just to summarize now, for this particular question, we talk about trends, but the end of it, it's still your foundation that matters. At the end of it, hindi pala at the end, at the start of it pala, you have to start with your foundation. Mag-iiba yung trends, maybe 5 years from now, iba na naman, but the idea here is that as long as you have a strong foundation, then it's just faster for you to adopt.
And don't worry with the trends, no. If we're talking about Java, the trends or the new trends usually takes effect after 5 years. So you guys are good.
5 years. Okay, sige. So thank you so yes. Ayun. Sige. So for our third question, if you sakto, we have students here. If you would introduce a total beginner, for example, a student or fresh graduate to Java development best practices, what would be the first best practices? One technical and one non-technical. What would you teach them?
So I learned Java by going through a book, right? So what I would recommend them, and probably some of the folks here that has been in the industry for quite some time would know this book. Probably Head First Object Oriented Programming. That's the first book that I would recommend, right? Because the Head First Object Oriented Programming is really sets your foundation in a not so heavy way, right? The contents of that book gives you light-hearted examples that's somehow relating to day life. If I remember correctly, there was one example about a duck having a capability to quack. I think somewhere around page 145. I remember it vividly.
Grabe, yung page. Game.
So, and I think 2 years ago they revised the book already, catering to the modern capabilities of Java. So that's one thing I would recommend. Right? Wag kayo magkat ng classes, but go to your library. I'm for sure they would have head first object oriented programming. Learn it. Isa puso nyo, then you're all set. That's one technical advice I would give. Number two, non-technical one is probably the thing that helped me with my career and during my days as a student is finding the right mentor. Right? It's not about going out and say, uy, pwede ba kita maging mentor? Uy, pwede ba kita maging mentor? That's not how it works eh. Mentorship is working or asking specific person na what's your take on this, right? You ask for their advice. Don't do, uy, pwede ba kayo mag-mentor? Don't do that. You ask for, hey, for example, during that time, ang thought process ko when I ask questions is, um, uy, mentor, I have this problem on creating a flag with a for loop. How do I implement this in an object-oriented way? What's what's your thinking pattern? Don't ask for the answer. Ask what is your thinking pattern. How do you solve through it? Right? Those things, right? Find a mentor, someone it doesn't have to be someone close to you kasi I learned there are forums for it eh. But during that time within my uni, meron mga approachable na tao naman na you can ask. So get a mentor, ask them about their thought process, right? And siguro singit ko na lang din na very important na non-technical is work on your soft skills. Work on your communication skills, right? If you go out in the industry after, ano may school din eh, 4 years pa rin ba, no?
For
After you graduate, right? After you graduate, I'm on the other side of the spectrum where I hire din kasi. Wherein the thing that I look for in a person is one, do you know your basics? Do you know your OOP? Right? And number two, how do you sell yourself to me? Because most of the time, employers doesn't really bet on your technical knowledge. Eh. We bet on your attitude and eagerness to learn. Right? If you show the right attitude, correct mindset, right? You can be mentored and coached, right? And for me, that's a differentiator. Eh. If you can sell yourself, show them na you can madali ka katrabaho, for sure they would get you and they would mentor you. And people in the IT industry love mentoring. Eh. They want to give back most of the time, if not all the time. So that's one thing. So to sum it up, read head first object-oriented programming. Number two, look for a mentor. And number three, alam ko to lang, but I wanted to sing it lang this eh. Number three is work on your communication skills. Go to your local Toastmasters club or communication group sa uni. It would help you a lot. That's not to mention, good way to network with other uh, batches, other courses. Malay nyo, may mga taga-marketing doon, di ba? Mga guys yun. Okay. So yun.
when I was teaching college students before, the very first thing I taught them was the solid principles, SOLID. Okay. Um, I don't know if the teachers or the professors right now teach that right now. Among you college students, have any of you heard of the solid principles? So apparently they don't teach it. Okay. So solid principles, it's actually an acronym, SOLID. I had to write it down because I have ADHD and I forget stuff. So it's about just for you to look it up later on. Solid principles mean you're talking about the single responsibility rule, the open closed principle, the Liskov substitution principle, the interface segregation principle, and the dependency uh, inversion principle. I'm not going to explain what all those 5 principles are. I'll just let you look that up. Okay, even if you just say solid principles, SOLID principles, there's a lot in Google that that gets brought up there at once. All right. Um, and even before you read headfirst object-oriented design, okay, uh, the solid principles already help. Whoa, okay. So the solid principles already help. Well, when even before you start to read headfirst, Okay, so that would be the very first thing I would teach my own students, because from there you already instantly learn, oh, okay, at the very least, this is how I should design my classes. This is how I should design my code. Okay, because even object-oriented design gets its principles from that foundation. Okay, so you need to know that. You need to know what solid is. I still don't know why your professors aren't teaching you that, but yes, learn about it, because that's helpful for any object-oriented language you end up using, right? And then um, as for non-tech advice, Kyel said you need to learn how to sell yourself. But for most of you, you wouldn't know, okay, how do I sell myself? So I would go one step back from that. I would go down to the foundation for that. So my non-tech advice would be always be curious. Always be looking at, maybe I can do something better than what I just did right now. Always, can this be better? Can I improve more on what I just did? Do not be afraid to experiment. Do not be afraid to ask. Always be curious. When you're curious about anything you're trying to learn, when you're curious about anything you want to understand, this actually shows up when you are let's say applying for a job. Because me, as someone who has interviewed prospective employees as well, okay, prospective developers as well, I know most of the students, most of the graduates don't know how to sell themselves, but I check to see how excited they are with something. I usually look for a topic, and a topic that they are interested in. And when I see their excitement to it, that already sells it to me and says, ah, this person wants to learn more. This person has potential. So be curious, okay? Be experimental. Do not afraid to fail. This foundation of always looking for something to learn will reward you tenfold, 20-fold, 30-fold for the rest of your life.
Thank you so much, Kyel and Charo. Finally, we have Rosa.
Ano po ulit?
Okay. Ano siya? Technical. This is for beginners. If you could give a best practice, and there are two. You have the technical and the non-technical.
What would I teach for the beginners? Yeah, okay. So for technical, to add to what they said is to practice. So meron tayong yes, useful pa rin yung books. I still think the books are relevant, even though they are like old or older versions. They are still relevant. And even if pumunta kayo sa tutorials point or W3 schools, if you look at those tutorials, um, just practice. Don't just read, but practice. Actually run a program, actually code. Don't just copy and paste from Stack Overflow. Know each know the function, know each word that you are putting in your code. Don't just say na well kasi don't just say na well ito kasi nasa Stack Overflow so it worked. No, you have to be able to explain what it does. So yon, practice and not just do it for some time. Go over it, do it all over again. Ulitin nyo na ulitin and you will find na there are better ways to do it. Na siguro for now, makikita nyo, eto na yung best nyo, but if you go over it again, meron pa kayo makikita. And then for the non-technical, is to add to them again, is to not be afraid to ask. Kahit na it looks, parang given in dapat alam mo yun. No, still ask. There are no stupid questions. Ask so you can have the answer. Yun.
Ayun. So thank you so much. Just to summarize, pero what I will summarize actually would be yung sa non-tech. Because tech, I think you guys took notes already. But for me, what I wanted to reiterate or emphasize in this particular session is that one, more on soft skills, right? So how you sell yourself. But I think also one thing to add from Kyel, no, before you can sell yourself, you have to practice communications. Kasi pagdating dun, kahit kausap dito, for example, this is a really good venue for you attending events because that's when you practice your communication skills. You talk to someone, may gusto kong sabihin, pero hindi mo ma-explain ng maayos, hindi niya magigets yun. Similarly, pag interviews, eto, in the future, when you graduate, eto yung mga mag-i-interview sa inyo. If you're not able to communicate yourself, explain a particular idea, then mahirap talaga magbenta. And next would be curious. Ayun, people can tell about how curious you can be dependent on how you explain things, diba? Makikita siya. And then finally, I think that's one common din, especially if you're a beginner. Mahirap magtanong kasi feeling mo, hala, I feel so stupid asking this question. Or baka isipin niya, dapat alam ko na to pero hindi ko kasi alam, so hindi ako magtatanong. In the industry, that's one cause of mistakes or parang mainly mistakes na nag-assume ka kasi. Likely pag you don't ask, mag-assume ka and then you are already building something, hindi naman pala yun yung gustong mangyayari. So you wasted a lot of time. Similar din yan sa mga projects. Hindi pala clear yung instruction, you didn't ask. Yan. So that's something that I would like to highlight from the non-technical tips from our panelists. Charo?
May dadagdag lang ako, no? When it comes to trying to learn how to talk or trying to learn how to speak what's on your mind, one good thing, one good way of doing it is to practice with your peers, practice with your classmates. No? There is this, I can't say the exact quote, but this is usually said by Dr. Richard Feynman, who is a physics Nobel laureate. And he said that in order for you to learn what you just read, try to explain it to someone else. A lot of you, I think a lot of you know what Eli 5 is, right? So yeah, it's pretty much like that. Explain like I'm 5, okay? It's pretty much like that, but not exactly like that, no? It's more like if you understand what you have just read, then you can teach your classmate who, let's say you have a classmate that, and I've done this a lot with my students before, that they would I would have them explain something, they would stand up, they would tell it to me word for word, that's what I had wrote in the blackboard or what they had read in the book, and said, hey, that's great. Now, what did you understand from that one? How would you explain it to someone who has never read the book? Okay, because if you can't explain it to your classmate, then you haven't really understood what you just read. Okay. And by trying to explain it to your classmate, you are actually practicing how to get your thoughts across. And that in itself, so you're hitting two birds with one stone. You're learning how to speak, and you are learning what is in the book or what you have just read.
Just to fit lang din with what Haifa has said, like I would like to put an emphasis on attending these kinds of events like StackLeague or yung DevCon, right? I think 10 years ago, college student pa ako nun, right? I am a self-proclaimed introvert wherein I do not want to interact with people or talk in public. that's why that's the reason why I went with computer science, right? Means more logic, less people, right? Yeah, talk to the computer. Pero when I heard about DevCon, I started attending their events, volunteering, mingling with different people. Parang dun ko nakita yung benefit of getting to know people, right? And dun din nag-boost yung confidence ko to speak in public and understand na there's nothing wrong speaking in public. There's nothing wrong with networking. It allowed me to flourish with my career na like, yung I've gone, I went to events, parang it gave me confidence going through interviews, going to my clients, expressing my thoughts, explaining to there was this guy named Dominic Ate na I work with during one of my volunteering era sa DevCon wherein I get to understand where he's coming from. I think that yun yung isang significant event in my DevCon volunteer era na allowed me to shoot up no, na gave me great confidence going to talking to different people. So again, go to these kinds of events. Ngayon, for sure some of you wants to approach some of the people here. Go for it. Okay, mahiya. It would really help you guys. Sobra.
Ayun. Thank you so much, Kyel. Speaking of volunteers pala, no, we would like to admire, well, our speakers here are actually all volunteers. They wanted to share their knowledge with you. But also other volunteers that we also have here yung mga photographers natin. So they share their skills in, not related to tech, their photography skills. Others, they volunteer their writing skills just to be part of these events, contribute their other skills, but then at the same time, they get to meet you guys. They get to network with you guys. And yan. And Rosa, yes.
Can I add to that? Po?
Yes.
Yeah, so way back when I was in college and we were building a thesis, yung thesis namin is by group. Group kami, well, actually kami pumimili sa mga group mates namin. But one thing I noticed is everyone is a programmer. So, everyone knows how to code, even me. Pero I noticed na, shit, walang gustong umausap sa panel. So, walang kakausap sa business person, walang kakausap sa consultants. Anong gagawin natin? So, ang ginawa ko, okay, sige, mag-program kayo, ako kakausap, ako bahala, sige. So, at that time, I noticed yung lack of communication between programmers. So, um, when when I graduated, I looked for an org outside my company. Kasi sa company, nagko-code lang ako, but I want to speak. So I looked for an organization and I found Women Who Code, and they gave everyone in Women Who Code a platform to speak. So that's where I met Miss Charo, and I am right now at Java technical lead for Java in Women Who Code. So for now, it's a good platform. It's a good practice to meet with professionals and also to speak in front of an audience. And so for now, I think you can practice with that. Even in school, just talk to your professors, just talk to your actual professionals that you meet in events like this. So you can practice on uh, communication within the industry.
Ayun, thank you so much. Do we have questions from the audience? So, balik tayo sa topics. It's really more of the best practices, especially for beginners, non-technical and technical. But by the way, yung tips pala nila dun sa non-technical is actually not just applicable for beginners. It's very applicable when you are already working. Communications, being curious, being able to ask questions, especially pag bago ka sa role mo. Questions from the audience. Yes, introduce yourself and then your question.
I'm Nick Aquino. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm still a student up to now. I just want to recommend a book. It's Clean Code by Robert C. Martin. It's the best book. Clean Architecture, Clean Coders. Is to read those. I will be reading your Solid Principles by Robert C. Martin as well. I go home.
Thank you so much, Nick. May questions pa ba? Especially from our students. Ayan, oh. Okay, we have si... Ay, kalimutan ko. Rudolph.
Hello, I'm Rudolph. Though sa showbiz may gossip din, so sa IT meron din. So what will is your opinion in Java that will be the next COBOL for 5 to 10 years from now? Although Java is keep evolving, so the latest version is 19. So what is your opinion on that?
The next COBOL ba? So for our audience, yung question would be, will Java be the next COBOL?
Now, the difference between COBOL, and yes, I've programmed in COBOL before. Yes, I programmed in COBOL. Remember, my background is BS Mathematics, but I majored in actuarial science, not computer science. COBOL was a requirement for us, okay? Because the insurance companies used a lot of COBOL. And until now, actually, insurance companies, banks still use COBOL. They still haven't moved to Java, or they don't still haven't, most of them still haven't, moved their systems yet to newer languages, newer tech. But Java is different from COBOL in the sense that COBOL never kept up with, COBOL never kept up with new technology. COBOL stayed with the mainframe. And it is very expensive to maintain mainframes. And Java, on the other hand, Java has kept trying to keep up with new tech. This is the reason why we have, oh shoot, I'm sorry, I forgot the name of this other company. We attended that last year. Azul, yeah. So there's Azul Systems, right? Now for those who have been using Java for a long time, they already know that Java Enterprise, since several years back, since Java 8 came out, Java Enterprise became open source, and it was being managed by Apache. And along with that is some of the JVM as well. And so, and yeah, there is also Open JDK for that matter. So Azul took this and they have reprogrammed the JVM to solve one of the problems of Java when it comes to distributed systems, or when it comes to being used in, let's say in Kubernetes, when it's being used in clusters. Okay, if you use the old Java in clusters, it becomes a resource hog because of the JVM. Okay, and if the cluster, and if that particular microservice suddenly turns off and has to start all over again, everything that was there disappears. So Azul found a way to make sure that this does not happen. Well, with the restarts in microservices, no. So that being said, Java, because there are so many legacy systems in Java, Java is not going to go away anytime soon at all. No? Also because, yeah, it is still trying to keep up. It is still keeping up with new technologies. So it's not going to go the way of COBOL, that's for sure. Okay? Because if it did, we would be now looking at other languages like Python, Go, Rust, and so forth.
On my end, right? I think I'll address this one for the people that are already working in the industry. Parang you're comparing COBOL to Java, right? And COBOL is being used by banks. And people working with COBOL has job security. So if Java is the next COBOL, won't you like job security? but but yeah,
Go Java.
but kidding aside, right? Java is trying its best to keep up with the latest technology trends. I came from Java, right? But I use different languages. Java is very, how do I put it without offending anyone?
Java is stable.
Java is stable, right? Battle tested, right? But the great thing about it is, to pivot what Charo has mentioned, there are companies that's already forking their own JVM, forking their own JDK, like AWS. I don't work for AWS, so, and I think Microsoft has support na rin for OpenJDK. So it's not going to go anytime soon. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware, no, But within the Java community, when last 2014, nag-proposal ng OpenJDK 8 or Java 8. Now I think they are at Java 17. So there is a community like Java community na adds capabilities or feature requests on the language. So it evolves talaga over time. And not to mention, if you're going to think Java is the next COBOL, how come there is a lot of developments happening around it? For example, again, I'll address this naman para sa working audience. How come there is a capability wherein you can host a Java function or a Lambda or cloud function kay Azure or a Lambda, right? So they're still supporting it, and it's going to work and it's going to be used for the next decade, right? Maybe slower yung new candies, new capabilities, but rest assured, it's going to be there for the longest time. Plus, of course, like what I said, diba? Job security.
Another thing that I have to add, no, among all the languages that I know of, okay. I mean, I also program in Go. I program a little bit in Python. I've programmed a little bit in, God help me, VB6. So, huh? Shh. So, if anything, Java is possibly the most secure language that I've seen so far. I mean, even Go, even Rust, they have some problems sometimes with security of the language. And Java, again, like Kiel said, battle tested. And it just keeps on, especially now that they've turned it into OpenJDK, and the Java EE has been moved to Apache already, so that's why it's called Apache Enterprise already, and so forth. Um, it's still very secure, which is the reason why so many security sensitive data companies love the language. So when you say security sensitive, yeah, you're looking at financial companies, you're looking at data centers and so forth. They use Java a lot because they know that this is not going, because we know this is not going to fail us, and we know we can find developers for them.
Yes, okay, Nick.
Version, is there a functional version of Java? Functional programming.
Yeah. So with Java 8, they have it. Well, it started with Java 8, diba? So sa Java 8, they started incorporating some of the concepts of functional programming, and down to Java 17, they keep on enhancing. So right now, the language itself has support for functional programming constructs. However, I don't want to categorize Java as a functional programming language, because remember, the reason why Java was created is mostly because it's for object-oriented programming. So to bring in some functional programming principles kay Java, it brings benefits. Pero I will not really consider Java as a functional programming language, and I will not heavily use Java for functional programming constructs kasi it's never designed, in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, it's not designed that way. It's there for convenience, but to use it for functional programming use cases, there are better languages like right like Scala. I think Scala has changed their name now, but there are languages talaga na designed for FP. But if you want to use closures, Java has it now. And over time, nag-involve yung syntactic sugar niya na it's now similar to Node, na very small lang yung lines of code, right? If you want to do a Lambda function or implement a functional programming construct, yeah, like a Lambda function around 8 lines lang, or sorry, 3 to 5 lines na lang. Unlike early release, di ba? You need to write an interface pa, and then you need to write yung implementation that would go about 12 to 15 lines. Ngayon, hindi na siya parang pilit yung pakiramdam when you do functional programming. It's there, it's built in on the language. But again, tread lightly with using functional programming with Java kasi the nature of the language was really designed to be an OOP. And in my opinion, functional programming was placed there because the Java community wanted it there. Pero it has its benefits. So you need to find the right balance of using OOP and functional programming. I'm a firm believer of OOP and FP can live well together on applications you're building. Unless that's a heavily mathematical project, then you should probably look for another language. Java is not meant for that. But the states, yeah, but the states, let's say, immutable fields, right? Closures. Java has those things going. So there you go.
Before we, audience, thank you so much. You're very engaging. Do we have additional inputs? Rosa, do you want and you have anything you want to add?
Sa Java community, if it's the next COBOL.
Pwede, oo, yun.
Honestly, I think, well, mas makakalili kasi sa akin yung mga, medyo, um, uh, bago-bago sa beginners, yeah. Um, well, I've seen in a few of their communities na they're kind of they want to have the more popular and the latest technologies out there, like ano ba yung bagong JS5, yung mga bagong Rust. And whenever they even have this meme na kapag nag-interview sila, they go to an interview and they want to be this developer, and the company wants, do you know Java? They're like, why they all want Java? I think now you know why.
Ayun. So, thank you so much, Rosa, no? Sige, so, let's entertain more questions. David? David. Okay, introduce yourself and then your question.
Thank you. David po, I'm actually a professional. So maybe have some best practices for this. What happens when you hit a roadblock in your project? Like you're trying to code something and you can't find the answer to the solution that you want. Maybe have best practices for this, because for me, it really kills the momentum. Like I'm really in the mood to code and I can't find the answer to what I'm looking for, and really really brings me down, you know. Thank you.
Ayun, sige.
I take a walk. No, seriously. No matter how much I want to code, no matter, and I couldn't find the answer, I couldn't figure it out, I would I would lock my computer, I would get up, I'd go outside and take a very long walk. No, seriously, it works. It always does work. You have to stay away from your work in order to find out the solution. The solution will just suddenly come to you. It's pretty much like, I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this. You are trying to work on your homework. You are trying to work on your computer assignment. You are rushing your thesis. I don't know how to answer this. Okay, ayoko na. I'm going to bed. And then you dream the solution. Yes, that really happens. Everyone can say, yes, that's happened to me. Yeah, that happens. And then you wake up and say, I know the answer. I know the solution. Because it's like in the brain works like that. Okay. No matter how much you are in the mood to program, you're in the zone, you have to step back and let put it mild, to put it in terms that you all could understand. Your brain has overclocked and now it needs to rest. Kailangan mag-reset ang brain nyo in order for it to start working again and start. Okay? And sometimes it also helps to have a better pair of eyes on it, because you might be really tired by then already and you don't know about it. Okay? Case in point, I'll as a one story or one experience that I've had before when I was working in an insurance company, and myself programming and myself, I was a third level programming analyst. My partner was a fourth level programming analyst. We're looking at this if statement and Java, and we can't figure out why is it that whether it's true, it's false, it still won't go in that particular thing, that particular section. Whether it's true, whether it's false, no, it doesn't go in. Or rather, let me rephrase that. Whether it's true or false, it still goes in when it should only be true. Okay? So we're trying to figure out what's wrong, what's wrong. We've looked at it, we've maybe the logic is wrong and all that. We've done so much to it, and we were looking at it for 3 hours. We still couldn't figure out what the heck it was going on already. And then here comes a junior, newly hired from college, just 2 weeks into the job, looks at the code and says, "Ma'am, may nakita po ako pero parang, ma'am, wag kayo magalit ha." No, 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 no. I'm not gonna get angry. We just want to get this over and done with. Why? What idea do you have? Ma'am, di ba dapat dalawa yung equal sign dyan, hindi isa? And both of us were, okay. All right. So let's see. It's 3 p.m. Let's just turn off the computer for a while. You want Starbucks? What drink do you want? I'm going to treat you downstairs right now. So yeah, it helps. Have another pair of eyes, or yeah. If you're thinking that maybe there's a technical solution to it, no, it's a non-tech solution to it. Go rest. The answer will come to you after that. If not, it will come to you the next day. It will come to you sooner or later.
Yeah, to add to that, whenever I have a roadblock, well, before nahihirapan ako mag-stop nun kasi I'm in the zone na. Pero I can't find the solution. And inaabot na ako ng gabi, naiinis na ako. And then pagod na ako. I still want to fix this. Pero in the later years, natutunan ko rin na mag-shutdown. I-shutdown mo na. Pag pagod ka na, shutdown ka na. Umuwi ka na. So, siya, it's also practicing discipline and boundaries. Yeah, boundaries. Kung hanggang 5 ka lang, 5 shutdown ka na. So, siya, ang nangyayari niyan, matulog ka kasi pagod na yung utak mo. So, kailangan mo ng i-rest siya. And then sa umaga, pag maliligo ka, andun na siya. Habang maliligo ka, just make sure nandun yung phone mo. Kasi sa shower, nandun minsan yung sagot. Seryoso.
Shower, the toilet, yes. Also, hydrate.
That's on my case though. If I'm in a roadblock, I usually question why I went with computer science or software engineering. But kidding aside, so what I usually do, there are cases kasi on my end na there's no one to help kasi baka they're busy with other things. I work in 3 ways pag may roadblock. Una is if walang another set of eyes right now that can help me look at things, what I will do, I think one of my developers are here. what I would do, I think he saw this before. I was working on the POC before, tapos hindi ko ma-figure out. Ang ginawa ko, nag-submit ako ng pull request sa mga devs ko during the evening. Tapos, nilagay ko yung alam kong talagang magbabasa ng code review. Usually, my mornings are filled with meetings. So, I went to my meeting in the morning. So, pagdating ng hapon, may mga nag-code review na. So, ito lang pala yung problema. Sir, parang may missing kang field, right? So, utilize yung pull request, no? Kahit hindi mo siya plan pa emerge sa main branch or whatever environment, submit a PR so that they can have a look. Kasi at the end of the day, everyone kasi is working on their own tickets lalo na kung distributed team kayo. I mean, current situation right now, sino dito working from home? I think most of you are working from home, di ba? Submit lang kayo ng PR sa office mate nyo, then pray na lang kayo, tignan nila.
I mean, I mean, that's what the PR is for, is used, diba? It's used to take a look at my code before you try to put it into the into the branch, right? Before you try to integrate it. Or else, if you do not peer review this and you just integrate it, everything's gonna blow up and it's not gonna be my fault.
And another life hack na I don't think dapat ko sabihin, pero sabihin ko na. Di ba may Stack Overflow, di ba? With Stack Overflow, minsan wala doon yung sagot. Lalo na kung specific yung hanap nyo. Most of the time, problem is with the library na ginagamit. What I do, don't do this. Ginagawa ko is, punta ako sa GitHub, magpa-file ako ng issue doon. So from there, syempre mga nasa abroad yung gumagawa ng library na yun. Papile ko siya ng 7 p.m. or 4 p.m. sa GitHub, there, kung anong open source library man yun. Tapos sa may issues, file ako ng issues. So the next day, after ng tulog ko, syempre, like what they said, rest, di ba? Sleep muna. The next day, makita ka may mga sumagot na issues yung nilagay doon. So it works. Yun yung life hack na ginagawa ko every now and then. So, yeah. Depends if your security team would allow it.
As someone who's studying computational neuroscience, ChatGPT is like a teenager trying to no, not a teenager trying to speak, a teenager trying to submit their thesis or their research paper. They will plagiarize and they don't know what the heck they're talking about. So use it. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes, but most of the time it just spouts nonsense. So use it with a grain of salt, a very huge grain of salt, possibly my 2 to 3 tablespoons worth.
I just want to add something about if Java is going to die. So the question you ask is if Java is going to be the next COBOL, and you're going to kill Java, you are sitting on the company that can do that, which is Microsoft. And so Java was originally owned by Sun, and Sun has set, and Java is now owned by Oracle, and it's now the flagship development tool of Oracle. And the strength of Java is actually build once and run everywhere. So, but in Microsoft, 10 years ago, it's a build once, debug everywhere. But we were enemies then. And Oracle and Microsoft now are very friends. And now we're having Java in the Microsoft space. So no, Java is not going away anytime soon. It's even in the cloud right now. It's in Azure. So it's far from happening. And big companies has Java capability with them.
So thank you so much, Joey. Okay, so we have really good questions, and I think we'll just we'll take one ano na lang. This is about resources. This is one question from our viewer naman. Isa na lang yung iti-take namin just to be considerate of the time. So we have one question from JV Reliona. Do you have any recommendation where we can learn about Java Spring Framework or Spring Boot? It's hard to find latest resources online. Others are outdated.
Sige. So for that one, what I usually use, I mean till now, ginamit si baldong.com ba yung baldong.org? CBAELDUNG, baldong.com. Yun yung gamit ko every now and then. Pero, yun yung parang quick win. Pero the best talaga is to read the freaking manual or just go to the docs. Nothing beats reading. I know you guys hate reading docs and hate writing docs. Pero it's the best way to learn about yung framework eh. And another thing, sige, another advice pala na ginagawa ko is I go to the official GitHub repo. That's sa case ni Spring Boot, open source siya, di ba? You go to github.com and nakita mo din Spring Data, Spring Data, Cassandra, all those things. If you go inside, check yung GitHub repository kung ilan yung test coverage and if may failing test. Yung una yung i-check. After that, kung anong framework yung gamit nyo or library na gamit nyo let's say kay Spring, go to the source code, then makikita niya yung unit test. Then doon yung makikita yung how they actually use it or how you should use it. Right? That's the beauty of open source eh. Pangit yung docs, wala masyadong magandang resource available. But in this case, Spring Boot, you have Baldung. You go to the source code and ensure na pag mature naman yung library, may mga unit tests yun. And dun yung makakita how it's being used. And this goes back sa sinabi ni Charo kanina na doing unit tests. Doing unit tests is a good form of documentation.
So yeah, yun nga. That's the reason why for most college students, I would say, learn how to do unit testing, because that would be the first thing that I'm going to look at if you start working with me in my team. That's the first thing I'm always going to look at. I'm going to check to see did you test everything that needs to be tested with this particular part of the code, because that's the documentation in itself already. Even if you don't actually write the documentation and I end up doing it as usual, okay? Because I am a documentator at heart as well. At the very least, there is unit tests. Besides, when you start working for a company and they have automated what we call as continuous integration systems, we use those tests. Without those tests, we're not going to integrate what you have done. So learn how to do unit tests. There's actually, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the book. There is actually a particular book, I think it is also by Robert Martin, that deals with how to create really good unit tests. How to test properly, especially for Java. So one thing you might want to do as part of your resources is look up all the books written by Robert C. Martin. All of them are really helpful. Clean Code, Clean Coder, and so forth. Yeah, look up all his books. If you can read all of them, do so. I am not going to tell you where to find them unofficially, but yeah, you can do it offline. Okay. So yeah, if you can get a hold of those books, if your library has them, if you want to buy one but there's nothing available here, the best way is you go to Fully Booked, you ask for this book, they will buy it for you. Okay. If you don't have anyone who can buy it from Amazon, then you can go to Fully Booked, ask, and then you just plop down a down payment and they'll order it for you. Yan. So yeah, look up Robert Martin's books. They're actually very, very helpful, especially for beginners.
Okay, so and with that one, let's all thank our panelists for tonight. Hopefully you are able to learn and hopefully you took notes. But if this is my last question, after this event, if there's one idea, one sentence, anything na lang na you want these guys, our viewers online na mga developers then students, professionals, if there's one idea that you want them to remember from all of the things that we've discussed, what would it be? And the last one, if meron kayong additional plug, meron kayong something that you want to invite these developers to, yan. So let's start with sige, si Kyel, kasi nasa iyo yung mic.
Hello. So, key takeaway siguro is focus on your foundations. It's about it. Like yung solid, object-oriented programming, like yung 4 pillars of OOP. Focus on it. Use it as your North Star. Kasi wherever you go, whatever language you will work on, babalik at babalik tayo sa concept na yun. Right? Remember, complex things are just basic things married together. So kahit Spring Framework pa yan, kahit Quarkus pa yan, kahit C#, Node.js, it's going to be the very basics, right? Kaya pansin niyo yung advice namin, it's not really about yung language itself, but rather on your first principles. Use your OOP or yung basic foundations as your North Star, and you're all good. Kasi
technology change. Most of the time, technology change or evolves every now and then. Except sa world ng Java, medyo mabagal. But I digress. Right. And plug, so UnionDigital is looking for developers, talented developers. So we're looking for backend engineers and DevOps engineers, right? So you can slid into my DMs. So, yeah. Thanks, guys.
I think for me, yung nakuha ko sa isang speaker from Women Who Code sa isang event, si Miss Karen. Nakalimutan ko yung pangalan siya. Sorry. Pero yung sabi niya is, ask and you shall receive. Actually, Proverbs yata yun, ewan ko. But, yeah, sa akin ask. Kasi for some people who don't know what they want or who don't know where to start, yeah, they don't even know what to Google or they don't know what exactly they should read, what should read on is, for me, is to just ask. Ask someone, do you think, this resource will help, or do you think kahit itong maliit na practice lang to, kahit hello world lang yan, do you think this will help? Just ask someone, and then they can help you, they can guide you towards whatever you might need, or wherever you may want to be. Ask someone. So katulad nga ng sinabi na find a mentor. You don't just ask people to be a mentor. No, ask 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 them objectively. Ask them what you want so they can direct you to it. Yun lang.
I stand by my original advice. Be curious. Always keep asking questions. And to the college students, how many semesters is your Java? One? That's fundamentals, right? That's not enough for fundamentals. Your professor doesn't say this, but I say this to a lot of my students. I will never be able to teach you, even within 6 months, even within a boot camp. I will never be able to teach you everything that needs to be learned about Java fundamentals. We're talking about just the fundamentals here, okay? Which is the reason why I said keep asking, keep looking for answers. The Java API documentation is your best friend. You may be wanting to, how do I do the logic for the algorithm for this one? You may be reinventing the wheel and Java may already have the method for you and you don't have to do it anymore. Like I've done, like a lot of my students, one of the first things I ask them to do is to create an algorithm for a bubble sort. And there was only one student that I've had that was very enterprising, actually looked at the Java documentation and did the bubble sort using the sort method in one of the API of Java. And he got a perfect score with only 3 lines. Yeah. So keep asking, keep looking for answers, be very curious, read a lot. Bago sabihin nyo na ayaw kong magbasa, kailangan nyo magbasa kahit ayaw nyo. Because most of your answers will usually come from there. If you know your first principles, you will 90% of the time find an answer to a very complex solution.
Yun. So thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause. It has been a very insightful night. And with that one, we would like to give a token of appreciation for spending your time with us here at Microsoft and with all of the developers and everyone who are willing to learn from you guys. So can we have a quick photo up lang? Actually, nakaupo na lang pala. Ay, nawala yung hindi kasi yan yung kasi yung pinakamalapit na daanan. So, hold on. Okay, sige. Thank you so much again, everyone. And by the way, for the people on site, we will have a group photo at the end of the session. And then another reminder is that we'll be having pizza outside after this session, which means take this opportunity to network with everyone, especially if you're still building your career and continuously expanding your career. So this is a good opportunity for you to network. So stay here, meet as many people as you can, talk to these really insightful people here. Yan. Thank you so much again, Charo, Kyel, and Rosa. Now I return the floor back to our host, King.
Right. So thank you again to our panelists for sharing their insightful ideas about Java. Okay, so before we dive into some announcements, we would like also to thank DevCon for supporting this event. So to give us this inspiring message, we have from Dominic De Leon, the Managing Director of DevCon Philippines.
Hi everyone, this is Dom, Managing Director OIC of DevCon Philippines. Today I'm excited to share the story of DevCon as the largest community of geeks, enthusiasts, and developers in the country. I want to thank StackLeague for giving us the opportunity to organize events and support events like this that help reach the next generation of tech talent and tech leaders in the country. So DevCon in the last 14 years has been known to organize free weekend code camps, the DevCon Summit, code camps, and a lot more. Because of the pandemic, we had to pause a lot of those programs. And instead, we have mobilized an army of developers and geeks to create open source technology solutions for the government with IITF, DSWD, and the Office of Civil Defense. We're thankful for the opportunity to create those open source technologies donated by DevCon volunteers and members. Last year, we're thankful to have organized a face-to-face DevCon summit ever since the lockdowns with the theme Enterprise Web3 or Accelerating Enterprise Transformation with Web3. As a tech-neutral organization, we take pride in the support of private and public champions, including StackLeague, to help reach technology talent just like you. As I go through the new role in DevCon, a quote I've been reflecting on is from William Gibson. It says, "The future is already here. It's not just evenly distributed." And this aligns well with the vision of DevCon for a digitally transformed Philippines for all. I want to share some highlights of our chapter events. In DevCon Davao, they have organized a Web3 over coffee events where they have organized geeks and developers to understand, discuss, and immerse in the opportunities in the blockchain technology. For DevCon Iloilo, they have organized an event and outreach program with the Philippine Society of Engineers to help reach students in Charo National High School to share the knowledge in design thinking, technology, and project pitching. Cagayan de Oro chapter of DevCon created a program and event with DevCon Kids and Codiverse Technology to create an event for kids grades 5 to 9 to understand mobile development as early as age 9 to 15. DevCon Cebu organized a lead learning workshop for DevCon kids to get inspired in programming, robotics, animation, and many more. So imagine yung mga pamangkin nyo, they're understanding, playing, and building on AI technology and immersed on this robotics solutions and technology as early as their age 9 to 15 years old. So this is a call to help bring DevCon experience not just within Metro Manila or Luzon, but to your hometown, to your campus, to your municipality. Help bring DevCon's vision of a digitally transformed Philippines for all a reality nationwide. So if you want to learn more, volunteer, be part of DevCon, visit devcon.ph. And again, thank you, StackLeague, for giving us this opportunity. And we look forward to seeing you in the community events. Hi, everyone. This is Dom, Managing Director OIC of DevCon.
Upcoming events from February to March. So we have next slide, please. So we have with PWA Pilipinas, it's a StackLeague career session. So it's me, hi, I'm the brand, happening on February 28th, that's Tuesday, 6 p.m. You can register via bit.ly/StackLeague-Fev28. Okay, next slide. So we will also be having a StackLeague career session with, okay, career session with beginning with Jetpack composed on Android development on March 9. That's Thursday, 6 p.m. You can register via bit.ly/stackleague-mar9. Okay, so of course, it's a yearly initiative of StackLeague to host numerous career sessions and tech sessions. And to get the latest updates, you can just visit fb.com/stackleague/events to get the registration details for our upcoming events. Okay, and of course, to help the StackLeague team improve their sessions for you, kindly answer our StackLeague session feedback, or you can scan the QR code to give your feedback for us to enhance our upcoming events. Okay, so I think that's all for our announcements. And on behalf of StackLeague team, I would like to say thank you to everyone who joined this event, this tech session event, and to all our YouTube viewers. Thank you for joining us for tonight. And if you don't have, again, if you don't have any StackLeague account yet, make sure to register at stackleague.com. And of course, invite your friends and family to be part of the league. And again, see you guys at the next StackLeague event. This has been your host, King, and good night, everyone. Thank you.